Hi friends, it's Lisa Mears. Thanks for joining me. In today's video, I'm sharing how I made two fun summer-themed cards using some products from Scrap Diva Designs. Both cards feature a fresh lemon theme. One is shaped like a lemon slice and the other has a shaker pitcher filled with lemonade. I'll walk you through step by step how I put them together and share with you the products that I used. So here's a look at some of the products from Scrap Diva Designs that I used to make my cards. Some of these dies are part of the brand new July release, while others are from previous collections, but they all work beautifully together, which is why I wanted to share them in one project. So this first die set is called Lemon Slice Mini Album. You can actually make this into a mini album, but I'll be using it to make a shaped card. You get the large lemon slice, and there's also some butterflies that are included in this set. Now, the dies on the left, that is the piece that you would use to make the spine for your mini album. There's also some more butterflies included. The next die set is an older set. This one is the lemon shaker dies. You can make these lemons and make them as shaker elements. There are two different sizes, so you have the outline and then the solid, and then you also have the word fresh. You can also turn these into limes, and I'm going to do that today with you as well. And then we have the lemon slices. You have a large set of lemons and a smaller set, and they both come with a spoon. So you have the larger spoon and the smaller spoon. Those are so fun and so easy to put together. There's also the pitcher, so you can make a pitcher of lemonade. You have the solid and the outline, and there are two sizes for the pitchers. And then this set is the Summer Words 1. This is a brand new set, and there's words in here such as hello, hello summer, sun-kissed, adventure awaits, flip-flops, memories, and sunshine. So I'm going to start out by using this pitcher die set. I die cut both of the larger pieces. One of the pieces gave me a solid, that's the piece on the left, and then the piece on the right is the frame that goes on the top for making a shaker card. So you can use this die set to make a shaker element, but you don't have to. You can just use the piece on the left and have a solid shape. If you wanted just to use the piece on the left for the solid shape, you wouldn't need to use this outline piece that I am inking up right here. Now I am using my Distress Oxide inks to ink this up to add a little bit of color to it. I did die cut them out of white cardstock, as you can see, and then just using the inks to add the color. If you wanted to, you can die cut these with colored cardstock. That way you don't have to use the inks, but I decided to go ahead and just use the inks. And this one I'm using the Salvaged Patina Distress Oxide ink, which I really love that color. It's so fresh and summery. So there I just used some mint tape to cover up the larger part of the pitcher so that I didn't get any of that ink color on the inside of the pitcher. Next, I'm going to clean up the workstation there and get that ink off of the mat, because I'm going to move into a different color ink and I don't want to spread those inks. So after cleaning it up, I'm bringing my pitcher back to my mat, and I'm taking a piece of mint tape and I'm using my scissors just to cut a little, kind of like a wavy line out of the mint tape, and I'm going to put that mint tape at the top of the pitcher, and now I'm going to ink up the entire thing below the mint tape with the Squeezed Lemonade Distress Oxide ink, because this is going to be my lemonade and it's going to have that little curvy edge at the top. If you wanted just to do a straight edge, you can, but I thought that the curvy edge would be a little bit more fun. Next, I'm going to spritz some water on that Distress Oxide ink that I already sprayed down, and I'm going to press a paper towel onto that water and pull up some of that ink. And I'm going to do that a couple of times. And what that does is it just pulls up some of the ink so it has a little bit of the white in the cardstock showing through that ink. It just softens the color and creates a slightly blotchy textured effect, kind of like how real lemonade might look through a glass pitcher. So next I just removed the mint tape and repositioned it so that it is on top of the ink portion and only the white above the inked portion is showing. This way I can add some more of that Salvaged Patina ink over the white cardstock so that I can have that consistent teal color for my picture throughout. So if you didn't want to make a shaker, you can totally just use this flat die cut piece. You can even add the layering piece on top, but we're going to use that layering piece frame to make a shaker. So I took the large solid die and die cut a piece of acetate, and now I'm just using that frame die cut and putting glue on the back and then just adding that to the acetate. So I'm just going to line that up, and once it's adhered, I will turn that piece over and I'm going to use a thin piece of foam and I'm just going to outline the back of that frame with the foam. So these are some thin foam strips that I got from scrapbook.com and they work beautifully with these thin frames. They're the perfect size to outline them when you're making shaker cards. They also go around the corners pretty easily. They're very flexible and bendable, and you can easily tear them without any issues. So next I took the lemon slices die set and die cut the spoon from this die set with some silver mirror cardstock, and that spoon is going to go inside of my pitcher. So I'm just going to put some glue on the back and add it to the pitcher. So next I am going to take out some of my shaker bits. These are from Pretty Pink Posh. This is the lemon lime clay confetti, which consists of sprinkles as well as all of these lemon and lime confetti pieces. They are super cute and I thought they went perfect with the theme. And I want to add a little bit of sparkle, so I'm also adding some of the lemon shimmer mix inside. Next, I'm going to take the outline frame with the acetate and remove the foam backing from the adhesive. And then I'm just going to make sure all of my shaker pieces are towards the center and not on the edge of that pitcher because I need to add this frame right over top. And I want to make sure that there are no shaker pieces in the way for when I put this frame right on. So just line it up and press it down, and there is the shaker. It's so cute. Next, I'm going to work with the lemon shaker dies. With these dies, there's a larger lemon die, which is this one, and then there's also a smaller lemon die, which is the one there on my table. And you can also turn this into a shaker by using these two dies, and that will cut out the outline frame that you can put on top to make it a shaker. And I'll be making a shaker in just a little bit to show you how to do that. But you don't have to use this die as a shaker die. You can use it to make your just flat lemons or even limes. That's why you see one of those die cut out of green cardstock. So I have one cut out of yellow and one cut out of green cardstock, and to add a little bit more interest, I am going to be inking up the edges. So with the yellow cardstock for my lemon, I'm inking up the edges with a yellow ink. It's a little bit of a slightly darker yellow ink than the cardstock, just to add some more depth to this die cut. I'm going to do the same thing for my lime and just ink up the edges with the green ink. The inks I'm using are from scrapbook.com. And then I die cut the very top of those dies where just the leaves are in some dark green cardstock because I want to piece in these green leaves. So I'm just going to snip off at the bottom of the stem and then just ink up those leaves, and then I'll be able just to glue those leaves right to the top of the leaves on the lemon and the lime shapes. If you want even more fruit, you can use the lemon slices die set and die cut these dies to make more lemons or limes. You can probably even use this for oranges if you wanted to. So I have the completely round circle, and then there's also some half circles. So I just did a few here so you can see what they look like, and then I'm inking up the edges just like I did with the previous ones. And now to add a little bit more depth and dimension to these fruits, I have my scrapbook.com white Lustre marker, and I just squeezed some of the ink onto my mat, and then I took a paintbrush and I'm just dipping it in that ink and then flicking it with the paintbrush onto my fruit, and that just gives me some white splatters on my die cuts, which adds some nice depth onto these fruits. And if you don't have one of these markers, you can always use some white paint, just some regular acrylic paint that you would buy at the craft store, and put some of the paint on your mat, dilute it with a little bit of water so it's not so thick, and then pick that up with a paintbrush and you can flick that onto your die cuts as well. It does the same thing. So I'm going to hold these close so you can see this a little bit better, and you can see that the white splatter as well as the ink that I put on the edges of that fruit, it just adds so much more fun and makes these fruit have more depth to them. Now I'm going to take the tops of the lemon slices, and I just die cut those out of white cardstock and then just add those to the tops of the circles. So you have the full circle, you also have the half circles. So next I want to show you how you can turn one of the larger fruits into a shaker. Let me go ahead and clean this mat. So I've already cut out the lemon frame, and I also took the solid die and die cut a piece of acetate. So what I'm going to do is glue the acetate to the back of the yellow lemon frame. And then I'm going to take out my foam strips. I am cutting them in half, even though they are pretty small to begin with. I do need to cut them in half because the lemon frame is pretty thin. So I just took my long scissors to do that. And then I can just wrap around the foam on the back of the lemon to enclose it all of the way. And then when I get to the end, just make sure that that foam is touching with the opposite end and just tear it off. I'm going to go ahead and add some of the lemon shimmer. I also brought in some white confetti circles from my stash, and I'm only adding a few inside of this lemon die cut. And once I have all of those shaker pieces in it, I'm just going to put that frame right on top. I am going to trim off these yellow leaves on the yellow die cut piece. I don't need those. And then I could just put some foam on the back side of those leaves to raise that up for when I add it onto a card. So you can just have some foam on the back. Okay, I'm going to save this one for my next card, so I'm just going to put that aside for right now. All right, so let's go ahead and start building this first card. I am making a 5x7 card, so I have my layering piece here, which is the lemons from the Market Bloom paper pad from scrapbook.com. I put that on a piece of teal cardstock. And the teal cardstock is 5x7 inches, and then the lemon cardstock is slightly smaller than that. And then I have this piece of wood grain cardstock that I got from an Echo Park. It's the Slice of Summer collection. I just put that at the bottom so that this picture has kind of like a floor to sit on or a table to sit on. I'm also putting together the sentiment, which I'm using the Hello Summer sentiment from the Summer Words 1, and I die cut that yellow cardstock from this glossy rainbow paper pad from scrapbook.com. These papers are so shiny and thick, and I thought that yellow glossy cardstock would really complement this card nicely. So I'm going to go ahead and add my sentiment first. And I am going to have some of the fruit positioned behind the picture just for some more depth to the card. So I have my lemon I'm going to put in the back, and then I'll have the lime and maybe a fruit slice on top. I really haven't decided yet how I want to do this, but I am going to layer them just like that so that I have some in the back and then some in the front. Since this lime is kind of extending off of the picture, I will need to put some foam on the back so that this part lays flat on the card. So I'm just cutting some foam down to size and adding it to the back of that lime. And then I'll go ahead and put glue on the back of the picture and put that on my card. I'm going to tuck a lemon behind the picture on the right side and add a small lemon slice there on the left. I'll bring in another lime slice and add it to the right as well. So that one is going to be glued on the picture itself, and then I'll put a piece of foam on the back of the right side so that it's pressed flat against the card. And then that is going to go on a 5x7 card base. And that card is complete. I love how this card turned out. It's so fun and summery, and I love that shaker element. So moving on, I am going to be working with the Lemon Slice mini album die set to make a shaped card. So we have this die that I used a yellow piece of cardstock. Here I die cut this die out of white cardstock, and then I also have the die at the top there. This one will cut the seeds out of the center, and I used a light yellow cardstock with that one. So you can see how you can layer these pieces up to create this lemon slice. I also took the same die that I die cut the light yellow cardstock. You have all of these seeds. I die cut a piece of like an ivory or off-white piece for those seeds, and I'm going to piece those in once I glue all of these pieces together. So before I start gluing, I want to come in here with my inks and ink up the edges for some extra depth. So just like I did with the previous card, inking up the edges of the smaller lemon slices, I'm doing the same thing with this larger lemon slice. I'm going to do the same thing with the lighter yellow cardstock. So just ink up the edges of that one as well. And then just like I did with the previous lemons, I am going to flick some of this white ink onto this die cut shape. Since that's such a thin layer of ink, it dries in a matter of seconds. And then I'm just going to add this white layer right on top. And then that will be adhered to the bright yellow die cut shape. Next, I'm going to piece in those seeds. Again, those were cut out of ivory cardstock. Now, I do want to mention that if you wanted to make this a shaker, you totally could do that. That white layer would be the outline frame. You would put acetate underneath that white layer and then add foam behind all of those white lines and then put your shaker pieces underneath there. So I'm going to go ahead and add some of these fruit pieces. I have my lime that's going to go down first. And then I'm going to use the shaker lemon piece that I previously made. That's going to be layered on top of the lime. I'm using the same sentiment, Hello Summer. I put that on like a shimmery pink cardstock for the background, and then white cardstock for the words Hello Summer. I'm also going to add some floral embellishments to the fruit. I have these little embellishments. I had these in my stash. I think they were from Queen & Company. I'm just going to add those there, but I do want to mention that the lemon shaker dies, they do have little flowers that are included in the die set that you can use. And then I also die cut the butterfly out of that pink shimmery cardstock, and I just attached it to the edge of the lemon because I wanted it to pop up for some added dimension to the card. So now I'm going to add this to a card base. I have that same yellow cardstock that I used for the back of the lemon slice. I folded it in half, and then I'm taking this large die here and putting it so that the top of the die is slightly over the fold in the cardstock, and I've added some mint tape to hold it down, and I'm going to run this through my die cutting machine, and that's going to give me my card base. And I chose to use the yellow cardstock so that when this card is complete, you have the yellow in the back as well as in the front so that it looks like a complete lemon slice. I'm going to go ahead and put glue on the top of that card base and then just attach the decorated card to the front. Now I do want to let you know that this card is slightly larger than A2 in size, but it does fit in an envelope that's used for a 5x7 card, so there's no problem in mailing this card. So I hope you enjoyed seeing how these lemon themed cards came together using products from Scrap Diva Designs. I will have all products linked down in the description box below, and if you do purchase from Scrap Diva Designs, make sure you use my coupon code Mears to save 10% off your order. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more card making inspiration. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. Have a great day. Bye-bye.